I think the ultimate next step is just everyone realizes that video is such a big piece to all of this, and it's not just like, oh, I'm video, so I'm on YouTube. It's integrating the video into all the pieces. So I'm integrating video into blogs, into my social strategy, into my emails, into my website pages. I also have a YouTube channel, but it's on my Instagram stories.
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent up that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from achieving your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. So, well, I could introduce Spencer, or we can find out a little bit about him anyway.
You go ahead and introduce him.
All right. Spencer Powell from Builder Funnel is joining us today. If you haven't seen or heard of Spencer out there on social media, you're going to see that he does a lot of great work helping not only builders, but remodelers get leads to their business and help them grow their own businesses so they can get to their own personal financial freedoms. So I've watched Spencer from afar, and I'm thrilled that he's coming on the podcast.
You a bit of a stalker?
I'm a little bit of a podcast stalker. I love his podcast. I love how he interviews people and gets the best out of them, and get some really good information out there for a lot of us in the contracting world. So, Spencer, from Alan and I, we say cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, cheers. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. So, I kind of set this up a little bit, but tell me, how did you get into helping builders and contractors, and tell us a little bit about how you did that?
Yeah, stumbled into it a little bit, but my family's been in the business maybe 110 years ish now. So out in the Seattle market, great grandfather, something like that, started it. A lot of spec building, and
that's back in
then eventually.
Yeah, 110 years ago. Hang on. What?
Yeah.
How were you building homes 110 years ago? Let's think about that for a minute. 2022 back to 1910.
No DeWalt tools.
So you weren't using, yes, you weren't using the Milwaukee fuel tool. That's the big fad right now. All my guys want to have the Milwaukee tools. So a lot of handhelds, huh?
There you go. Yep.
That's impressive.
Yeah, because I was there, so I remember it pretty vividly. So.
Well, you get to, because hey, my great granddaddy, and he told me this. So therefore, after 110 years, I know everything about building.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, you could go ask him, or you could just believe me and take my word for it. So, but yeah, they built a lot of homes, and then it transitioned, they started building communities and built up several of their own properties, apartment buildings, a couple of retirement communities. And then eventually it got passed down to my dad's generation. So his two brothers took over the business. And they ran it as like a custom homes remodeling handyman kind of construction company. And my dad moved out here, bought a direct mail business because timing wasn't right to get involved in ownership of that business. And this opportunity popped up. So he bought that business from my mom's dad. So definitely come from a line of entrepreneurs on both sides. And I grew up with that business, stuffing envelopes and doing all that during the summer, and I hated it. And I was like, I'm never going to get involved in this business. And so I started a social media company right out of college, just helping some friends and family clients like get their Facebook business pages up and running, doing some Twitter, some blogging, just kind of those like early years of social. And my dad said, hey, I just went to this conference, and direct mail is apparently going to go off a cliff. So we need to transform our company. And I see what you're doing over there with digital. Do you want to just like start a division within this company? And so we used that as kind of a way to just get into that space, started working with my uncles, took that, their remodeling division from about 2 million to 10 million over 4 years, and started helping more people do that.
Oh, ho hum, from 4 to 10. No big deal.
Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. No, I love it. I love how he says it like that too. So I'm sitting right now at 4.5 million. Just had my strategic offsite meeting with my team where I said, and I actually made patches for this. It's called 10 and 2. We're going to get to 10 million in 2 years.
I like it.
Yeah. So, and I took them to a bowling alley. So 10 and 2, spare strikes.
That's
And,
really clever, Chris. Good job.
Thank you.
That's nice theming there. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And so we went bowling and well, honestly, I'm still limping because I didn't realize bowling was a sport, but my butt is killing me, man.
You have a bowling injury?
I did. I have a bowling
and now the
injury.
whole world knows.
Yeah. Well, it's the left glute.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Too much.
So, all right. So you helped them grow from 4 to 10. I want to really dig into this because you obviously brought some great ideas to what is considered a very old market. And you brought it up 110 years ago. We're using hand tools. And now today we think we're really cool when we're using cordless tools. But you had to bring a whole mindset to an industry that doesn't think like this. Tell me how you got these guys bought into changing the way they were doing things.
It's been a slog, honestly.
And we're hard-headed in the contracting business.
What's that?
Are you saying that we're hard-headed in the contracting business?
No. Yeah, no.
Question is answered.
More been my issue. So, yeah, the first few years we were begging people to let us work on their SEO and their ranking, and the pushback was like, nobody's going to Google something and then do $100,000 remodel. And that's not how this works. We get referrals. And so it was several years of just like explaining education, and as you guys, kind of hinted at, we do a lot of education in our marketing. But then you just like point to case studies and you kind of just build stuff off the ground. But I mean, there was a tipping point about halfway through our journey where it was like, okay, now we're not having to like totally convince people that Google provides customers. And, but in the early years, I won't lie, it was a slog. It was a lot of education around how this works. Like the shift in buyer behavior is changing. Like people trust Google searches.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we know this, 97% of the people go out there to Google. We know that people are going to touch your company 7 times before they even call you. You know all those stats, or at least I do, listening to people. And they're going not just the internet anymore. They're also going to check your reviews. They're going to check your Google My Business. They're probably going to check some social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know yet, but I'd be interested as you work with these folks in contracting. What do you do? How do you get these guys to think about a strategy? And talk us through that a little bit more, because I can't wait to hear more about this.
Yeah. Strategy is an interesting thing because it's a mix of a lot of things. But at the end of the day, like it's really developing where you want to be and having that end goal in mind. And then you're going, okay, what are the constraints and parameters that I'm working with? And then from that, how do I develop a list of tactical things that I can do? And so when you talk about strategy, that's where my head goes, okay, like what are the various ways we could get to the end result? Which ones have proven past successes? Which ones are experiments? How much force do we need to put behind some of these things? And then it's just execution with adjustments along the way, because it's never going to go perfect. So I think a lot of people jump into the tactics side because it's fun. It's like, oh, I went to a conference and they're like, I got to be posting every day to Instagram, or I got to get on TikTok. And it's like, well, that sounds good, but is it part of your overall strategy? Do you need TikTok? Like maybe not. Is there another way to get to the goal? And so I think tactics are shiny, and strategy gets overlooked or kind of bypassed a little bit. You guys are smirking. Are you into TikTok or something?
I am. They actually call me Chris Talk, baby. They call me Chris Talk. I'm the oldest. No,
I picked up the app last year and I wasted like 4 hours in like 2 nights. And I was like, I'm deleting this. I can't do it right now. Like,
all right.
It is perfect for Chris because he's got the attention span of a flea. And
goldfish. I'm just below the goldfish.
Human
7 seconds. But what's funny is we were sitting down at the breakfast table on Sunday morning, and how you get your screen on the iPhone says this is how many hours you're on your phone. And my daughter, who's 24, is living with us right now while she's working for a doctor, and she says we get all the screen things, and she says, "Wow, Dad, you have more screen time than me." And I'm like, "Listen, Sydney, I run my entire flipping business off my phone." She goes, "Let's take a look. Number 1 app, TikTok."
The data don't lie.
Like, give me that thing back. So No, I don't. I'm playing with it a little bit because the guy who's helping me with my social media said, just get out there and see what it's about because it's about content. But in our strategy, when it comes to social media at my company with the Trusted Toolbox, has been more about education, being present in the marketplace that we're in. So we have been doing Google My Business has been a big win for us here in the last couple of years that I had no clue was going to be so strong. I had to have somebody a lot younger than me tell me that, and because I was being obstinate. I'm like, no, we'll just do the books. No. Give me more Facebook followers because Facebook's how we're going to convert. So when you're working with contractors or working with these guys and you're helping them do this, which channels do you ask them to focus on?
Yeah. So I'll give you the right answer is I don't know because I don't know their business yet. But generally, you got to be doing SEO and content work on your website. When I look at the data across all of our clients, almost all the leads in terms of like qualified leads that are moving to projects and moving to customers and revenue, they come from Google search, whether it's paid or organic or a combination of both. A very small percentage comes from social. And so I've looked at that bucket as more of a verifier than the actual lead gen source. Somebody Googles, they do a little research, they find your company. That's how the lead was generated. Then they go check you out on Instagram, Facebook, or heaven forbid, TikTok, something like that. But that's really the verifier, and that can help like communicate some brand, some core values, like what you're about. It humanizes you, and so it plays a role, but it's not actually what generates the lead.
I said this to another guy. I think today's social media is kind of like yesterday's billboard. It's just out there. It's informational, but you're not calling off the billboard. Not when you're screaming down here in Atlanta, screaming down 85 to get into town, going 80 miles an hour. You're not going to look at that billboard and go, "Oh, I got to call the Trusted Toolbox to have my house fixed." What do you think about that? Is it's something that should be there, but what do you think?
It's a good question, and I guess I would say, like, it's important to be present there and to be sharing the things that are going to amplify your brand or maybe give you the edge. If somebody like found 3 companies on Google and they're kind of exploring social to learn more, I think that's where it can give you an edge. It's more dynamic, so than a billboard. I think that's a great example though. Like people are just cruising through their feed. And so you have to remember, like, that's the intent if they're just browsing. So most of the time, if they've found you on Google and then come to your page, like that's where they're there to learn about some different things. That being said, if you're willing to go all in on social and like you're posting daily, you're doing stories on Instagram, you're commenting, you're tagging other businesses, I think that can be a lead gen channel. Most people don't want to do that. Most people don't want to be, on their phone doing Instagram stories all the time. And like the time investment is large for you to get that return. I think there is a lot there, but most people just aren't willing to commit that. So the path is, I won't necessarily say easier, but it's a little more direct and you can outsource it easier via Google.
So let's talk about the SEO, the website. You're right, because that's the conversion point. That's where people are coming. When you're working with somebody, you've already said that's step number 1, getting the SEO, getting your website, doing all that. What are some key things that people should know when they're trying to get somebody to help them with this?
Yeah, just know that it's magic and you'll never figure it out. Yeah.
I love it. I had this magic elixir from 110 years ago. And let me tell you about it. Beautiful massage oil.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Ooh, don't look at me.
Yeah. Actually, we try to avoid that because I think there's a lot of companies that have hired the $300 a month SEO company. And I talk to them and they say, oh, yeah, I'm working with this SEO company. It's been 6 months. I'm not really sure what they're doing. Like, I don't know if it's working. Those are big red flags. Like, you should be able to point to things that you're doing. And I'll tell you if it's working. Look at your organic traffic. Is it going up, sideways, or down? It's a pretty easy way to just go into your Google Analytics.
Write that down, Chris.
Yeah. I try to keep things as simple as possible.
Perfect.
Low contractor here.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a quick
Sideways
question.
or down?
That's right. Down is bad.
Down bad?
Yeah, down's
Thank
bad.
you.
Up's
Down
good.
bad, up good.
Rog, listen now.
are you primarily focused on lead gen, or do you actually consult with people and all the way through the conversion process, the lead, the follow-up and conversion piece?
Good question. We go partially into after lead gen. So we'll do nurturing for people that like haven't entered the sales process, or even if they are, we're like hitting them with touch points, but we're not doing sales coaching or actual direct follow-up like phone or text or anything like that. So common path would be somebody hits the website, they're researching a kitchen remodel, they download a kitchen cost guide. Now they're going to start getting emails, and we help produce those emails to, educate them through that process to get them to a point where they're entering the sales process.
That part's great. So it sounds like a little bit of the I'm sure you've heard of Marcus Sheridan's "They Ask You Answer," because
Yep.
some of those points right off the bat. I definitely got to get that guy. And of course, he might be a little too big britches for me. I don't know, but I've listened to the
I don't
book.
know, you're
Worth
kind
a
of
shot,
big
right?
villain.
Well, it is, right? And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Spencer, but I'm kind of a big deal.
I can tell. Yeah, it shows.
You gotta say that
thank
with
you.
we got to do that with a straight face.
I
just
can't. I know it.
once.
Damn it. All right. Anyway, but you hit on that. So in the websites that you developed and help with people, you have the lead gen, or that's the go ahead and get your free guide, educate the customer on what's going on. Once they get that, now they're in your ecosystem, and now you're hitting it with emails. What are you putting in those emails to get people to convert? What have you found is a really good way to do it, other than me?
Yeah, the big red button that says "buy from me" usually works the best. Yeah, so it's usually an educational approach. So it's like 67.2% of stats are all made up, right? So like 97% of people that hit your site, they're not ready to buy today. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be next month or next year. So if you recognize that they came to the site and they downloaded a guide, they didn't fill out your contact us form. Okay, they're not ready to talk to me yet. So now what I'm going to try to do is layer in some educational pieces. And if I can, I'm going to make them specific to what they downloaded. So if they downloaded a kitchen design guide, maybe I'll hit them up with some kitchen content. You don't have to get that personalized, and you can still be really effective. So you might send a welcome email. Thanks for stopping by the site. Here's a couple other great resources. We know you're researching a big project. Here's how our process works. Here's what to expect. Here's the timeline. Here's some rough costs for different projects or investment ranges. Basically, all the big questions that you're going to get asked in the sales process, those are great ones to include in kind of that sequence of emails. But you can also just keep it to a monthly newsletter or twice a month kind of cadence, and that can act as a nurturing tool where you're sharing a recent project that you completed, or sharing an award that you won, or linking to something on social media where you shared, a before and after photo or something. And there's lots of ways that you can drive like value through education. And that's really the general approach is education.
That's gold nuggets right there, the educational process, because especially when you're talking about a significant investment in your home, especially that's what we're talking about here, whether it's your kitchen, your bathroom. For a lot of people, the home, number one, is their number one asset. Number two, it's the personal thing. It is their castle. They're going to do some research. People aren't just going to go hit the big red easy button because I saw Chris do a TikTok that was really cute and goofy, and boy, I'm going to spend 50 grand with him. No, they're going to go out and listen to that education. So you hit on that. And I think that's big, is staying in front of these people and bringing that educational component out, because at the end of the day, as a contractor, they really want an educated consumer. A lot of these people haven't done something like this before, and they have no idea what to expect. And that makes that a nightmare customer for us, right?
Exactly right. And an easy way to think about it too, sometimes it's hard to translate it, but I always say your normal knowledge is expert knowledge to them. So it's trying to figure out like, what am I just doing every day? And let me just share some of that. And you may think of it, it's tough because when you're in it, you're like, this is just normal. Everybody knows this, but they don't know anything. And so you're just trying to communicate as many of those normal things about what you do. And that is expert to them. And now you're a thought leader and you're helping them make a big decision.
When you're working with a contractor like this, are you giving them the ideas, or when you sit down and you structure some of these touch points, are you saying, hey, look, I got this canned newsletter, I got some stuff you can use, or are you looking to pull from them and then develop it? How do you work with people?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Because we obviously have a lot of frameworks and structure to, how we want to set up the system and kind of the flow of everything, but we want it to be personalized to stuff that they have going on. So typically, during the month, it's, hey, what projects are going on? What's going on? Like at the boots on the ground kind of level. Have you won any awards recently? Like, are you going to any events? Like, what's happening? And then we can weave that in and go, oh, that's great for social, or no, that's great for email, or we should really shoot a video on that and put that into the blog post we're writing this month or next month. So that's where I think it's a little bit of both, but most of our clients are leaning on us for developing the strategy and the system and kind of the overall framework. And then we want to get their input on like some of the detail that fills that in.
And I think that's the best way to go, because that's the other problem that I ran into as I went down this path was, now what? How do I do all this? I don't know, man. He says, well, I need more content. I'm like, what kind of content do you want?
What's content? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means. Content? No. I said, let's go put this wall up over in this house. I'm good with that. But no. He goes, oh, no, I want to see that. Oh, well, we just opened up a wall and put a new wall in and opened up that kitchen for him. Yeah, that's what I mean. Oh, well, we call that remodeling. Oh, you call that content. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm learning.
Yeah. What you do every day is great content. Yeah. I know it's weird. And I think that'll be the next inflection point. The first one was like figuring out that, people do Google searches and purchase these large projects after a sales process. The next one is going to be, I get that my everyday is content and I'm producing it at more scale, but we're not there yet. Most people aren't doing it.
Got it. You actually talked about that. I was going to ask you, the next question is, so if you're working with somebody today, like me or other people in our business, what is the next thing? So you said SEO one, website, do the conversion, do the education, but what's that next thing? And you kind of touched on that. Is that where you think it's going, and what do you do with it?
Yeah. I mean, I think the ultimate next step is just everyone realizes that, video is such a big piece to all of this. And it's not just like, I'm video, so I'm on YouTube. It's integrating the video into all the pieces. So I'm integrating video into blogs, into my social strategy, into my emails, into my website pages. I also have a YouTube channel, but it's on my Instagram stories, TikTok, whatever it is. So that piece, getting comfortable with getting in front of the camera, recognizing that you're a big part of your brand as the owner, and pushing that media into those different channels. And then the next step really becomes, we need to do marketing in-house, or we need to do a chunk of it in-house, and we can outsource other things. But like that media piece, that's tough to outsource. Like you can bring in a videographer, but like somebody has to be in front of the camera, and that's scary for a lot of people. But I think that's the next piece, because when you really break down video, it's just a way to communicate. It's just a medium, just like blogging or email or text or anything. But that's what everybody wants to consume via is video. You look at YouTube numbers are off the charts, social media, like the most compelling stuff is video content. Like you're scrolling, you'll stop for a video, you see a post, you kind of like skim by, like, like I need a video to watch. Like we're all lazy, or at least I am, and I want to watch a video. And that's an easier way to consume. So I think we'll see that kind of just trend keep moving. But I think in this industry, it'll be slower moving than others, because other industries are already there.
Yeah, that's it's one of the things I just heard from somebody else was go look outside of your industry and see what other people are doing. And if you bring that back to your industry, you're going to be considered that expert or that guy who's the thought mover. And I Spencer's just building on what I heard yesterday, and that is video. And it's tough because, we just went today to a supplier's place, and he took us through the windows and doors and their deck package. And I was like, we're all done. And I went, oh my God, I forgot. I got to video this stuff because I didn't bring anybody with me. So I'm out there and I did. I made my little TikTok out of it. Haha, look at me. But I also put it on Instagram.
You're doing it. See?
Yeah, but it's so, but it's that, but you're right. It's hard because it's not second nature for me, being an old man. So that's
I don't know that it's, I mean, I think it's second nature to very, very few people, to just say, oh, I need to document everything I'm doing, you know, um, and that's, an extreme level, but I mean, yeah, if you could just document one or two things every day that you did, you'd have so much video content. You wouldn't necessarily need to even use it all. But yeah, I mean, I think there's ways to get around that as like a half step. Like you can organize, a dozen topics and say like, I need to shoot a video on all these. And then you block off an hour, 90 minutes, and you can knock out 4 or 6, 5 to 10 minute videos, have somebody else edit them, and then you just release them on a schedule. And so like there are ways to ease into it, but I think where it needs to get and where it'll be really powerful for the companies that get there is kind of that on-demand video where you're just like creating as you go and it's posting more in real time, less editing, more iPhone work than like, I need a person here with a camera and lighting and a mic and all this fancy stuff.
Yeah, to build on what Spencer does, I think it will help a lot of us contractors because by having that video and that educated consumer, it makes the sales cycle so much easier for me walking in because now you're educated. You at least seen some of my video. You saw my face. And when I'm talking, I get to be that lovable contractor who's coming up with these great ideas for your bathroom and your kitchen, which I love doing. For example, one of the things I love doing is putting in heated toilet seats. Love heated toilet seats because who doesn't like a warm tushy, right? But you get to talk about that with people when you're in there, and you get to get over the fact that they really don't know who you are, and I just let you into my castle, and I'm thinking about putting a big investment in my home, and I don't know if I really know you, but if I get to walk in and they already kind of knew me, then I get to have that conversation and joke around about. What we love to do is as ladies, I look at her and I say, as ladies, I need to have a shaving shelf, right? Because I got to keep my legs smooth. And I, by the way, those are 2 sales lines I use all the time. Work champ, baby.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I'm curious.
Nugget for the day.
Do you know your closing rate on people that have seen you online, your face, like watched a few videos versus people that haven't?
I don't know that. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that because I just tasked my remodeling team to revamp our remodeling sales process. I don't think we do it as well. I'm guilty of that. I'm a really good salesperson. I'm a really shitty sales manager. And so I said, guys, I get it. All right. I can't teach you to do it, but you hit on something that I firmly believe it. I read the Marcus Sheridan book about a year ago and have put video in my own newsletter. So we have 15,000 people on our newsletter list. I put the video on it a year ago. So I'm going to answer your question here. Once I put the video in there, my open rate is now 35% on my newsletter. It was down an industry average of 18%, almost doubled when I put it because people will stop and read and watch the video. And yeah, I'm kind of goofy. My personality comes out in it. Like I dressed up as Elvis. I've dressed up as the turkey. I mean, I'll do some things, but we'll talk about their house and stuff that's in there. So I don't have the stat, but I do have that one. So you can take that to the bank. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's a gut feeling like when you walk in and somebody's like, oh yeah, I've been watching your videos or I've seen a few of your things. Like you were kind of mentioning it, the connection you can build with them is like that much faster because they already feel like they know you. And so they're comfortable. Their barriers are down. Whereas that's what you have to kind of get past with somebody that hasn't seen you before.
Yeah. Yes, you've hit on that so well. The video is going to be key. And I'm sitting here. The reason I'm struggling formulating the answer is because I'm trying to figure out if I can break right now and text those guys and say, hey, tomorrow I better see the video you're going to make. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk about that. You've worked with a lot of contractors. Take us through maybe one of those success stories. Guys, really good. Obviously, a lot of us pride ourselves in our quality, and I'm similar. We did 110 remodeling projects last year. We did 2,333 handyman jobs last year, which is mind-boggling. But quality was never the problem for us. I feel like our quality is second to none. The guys do a great job. Where they fall down, a little bit of customer service, communication, absolutely. Tell us about somebody who had that great quality and you came in, you helped them, and then you helped them grow that 4 to 10 or whatever they did with their business and how you got them there.
Yeah. One that comes to mind, guy was about 2.6 ish, spending quite a bit on paid ads. And nothing wrong with paid ads, but you typically will have a higher cost per lead than, say, an organic channel on Google. And that was his goal. He was like, I'm spending too much here. I do want to grow my business, and I also want to like lower my cost per lead. So we came in and focused on content and SEO. So creating a lot of blog content on typical like keyword searches that people are looking for. And over about 2 years, he went from 2.6 to 5, and we were able to bring the paid spend. I think it was at like 2,000, 2,500, somewhere in that range per month on Google Ads, and then brought that down to under 1,000. I think he was closer to 0 for a while. And then he started to say, hey, I think I'll bring this back up because I want to grow some more. And that was still a good channel for us. So I think it's been maybe 4 years now, and he crested past 6 million. So we had pretty strong growth over 2 years in terms of doubling, and then slower growth by getting to that $6 million mark. And the project size has moved up too. And that's what I find that marketing in general does, is it either allows you to grow top line or just improve your margins because you can be pickier because you have more leads coming in. And a lot of times you can do both. But that's an area where I think this industry gets hung up on top line, and we have a lot of ego around growing revenue. And revenue can be good, but if you're not profitable, like who cares? It's a lot of work for no return.
As Alan has heard me mention before, I wrote a book.
Did you?
Congrats.
I did. Thank you. It's called From the Zoo to the Wild. And one of my chapters, I talk about that almighty top line for me is that vanity line, right? In fact, I even mentioned it already in this podcast. Good. We did 4.5 million this year. Wow. That's awesome. Now what's your sanity line? How much did you make? Let's go back to that vanity line, shall we?
Yeah.
We want to talk about how much you made. It's still a low margin business, especially in contracting. Everybody thinks as contractors we're killing it in remodeling or on the bigger jobs. Everybody's like, we do remodeling and handyman. They're like, oh, well, you must kill it. Oh my God, I'm like, guys, this is not consulting, bro. This is good old fashioned handyman and working in people's houses. I'm lucky if I can get to a 6% net. That's what I'm keeping. So that's your sanity line. If you're lucky, there are guys out there who will say, oh, I doubled it. And I was one of those guys who said, yeah, double. And then I had a great mentor of mine who said, really? Because you would be like one of the 1%ers in the world who do it. I'm like, well, really, it's 3%. He goes, yeah, that sounds about right. So you hit on this, and that you can actually, we talk about that vanity line, but the sanity line you hit on as well. You said you brought his spend down from 2 to 2,500 a month down to almost 0. I don't want to ask you, but I mean, did he spend that 2 or 2,500 with you, or did he spend less with you? Because even if you told me he spent more with you, I'm going to argue that that's money better spent, because if you didn't ask this question, I get a better conversion rate off people who already know my company, not from the pay-per-click or the paid spend. That one, you have to pull them across the sales line from the very beginning. So how did you do that? I mean, how much did you spend? And I know it's going to be a cost case that makes total sense, but
Yeah, it was more than that on a monthly basis. And what we see is in that first year, you're building a lot of momentum. And then as you hit year 2, your cost per lead just starts to drop. And then year 3 and year 4. So his investment with us went up nominally over 4 years, but his revenue went from 2.6 to 6. So if you think about that relationship and you think about it over a longer horizon than 3 months, which is when people need to see results, but if you can think about a 3-year timeline and say, hey, I'm actually investing in my marketing program and investing in my website, it has a similar relationship to investing in a stock portfolio where you're going to see compounding returns. And so it's tough in year 1, to take that leap of faith and go, okay, I'm going to start building a program. And just like the contracting industry is full of guys that take deposits and run and do shady stuff, like there's tons of shady SEO companies and people that have, done a bunch of garbage there. And so it becomes challenging to take that leap of faith. But when you when you've seen it happen and you've felt it, and then you wouldn't do it any other way.
I'm just trying to think of another really cool question to ask him, and I just feel like I'm not there because I'm sitting there, I'm just digesting it too much.
What has happened, Spencer, is you've blown Chris's mind.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's
I came in with one goal, so
I need to reset the fuse.
All
Yeah.
right, I'm back.
You get so excited when you're talking about marketing, and so what's happening is he's thinking about, how do I actually go start implementing this stuff 10 minutes ago?
I put my phone down, but I was about to start texting my entire team. I'm not shitting you. The video thing, absolutely. I've already written that down. That's coming out after we're done with this. But he just got me going with so many other ideas, because with our business, the competition is not other contractors for me. My competition is whether or not the homeowner, I make a connection with them and they want to go with me. And I can't stress that enough. A lot of times people think, well, Chris, there's another bathroom remodeler or a handyman or no, it's not. That's not it at all. It's whether or not I made that connection in that house and got that customer to go with me. The customer is my competition. And that's what he's basically saying is, I'm going to get that customer in front of you, and now it's up to you to convert them. So put your sales hat on, go put your sales process on. That's something you need to work on as a lovable contractor and figure out. But I'm going to get you that lead to that customer. Forget those other people. It's a noisy space out there. You don't have to say, hey, I'm better than the other guys who do take half the money and run, don't show up, call you on Monday, tell you they can't start till Wednesday, call you on Wednesday, say can't start till 2025, whatever it might be. So,
but is anyone starting before 2025 these days? Like, it's impossible.
Well, as Alan has brought up, in our business right now, you can be a really crappy contractor and still make money.
Yeah,
and that's unfortunate, because I was hoping we're here in the Atlanta market, and I've done a lot of economic questioning, asking other people. I think we're going to have a good 22. 23, we might have a little bit more of a softening. It won't be a thud unless something really crazy happens, like COVID. Oh my God, did I say it? Yeah. No.
You just jinxed the entire planet.
Yeah, it's tough because we're up against guys who can just fall out of bed and become a contractor. But by staying at it, and like you just said, putting that investment in, and then you start to see those compounding returns that you don't see them this year because everybody else out there killing it, and they shouldn't be putting money in, but they will in 23 and 24, because if there are headwinds in 23, I'm hoping my company is ahead of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And really where you feel it the most is when things turn down and you're scooping up all the market share and you're still marketing. And then that's where people go out of business. And so business is tough. You have to have that long-term mindset, and you have to, marketing is one of those things where the more consistent you are and steady you are, it'll pull you through the lean times, and then you can capitalize on the really good times too.
Yeah. You were sitting here in 22, and I still think I'm going to pull off what Gino Wickman said, the author of Traction, and he had also the Entrepreneurial Leap book. I don't know if you've read them, but in the Entrepreneurial Leap book, he says, if you're in business for 10 years, you will have 2 bad years. You just don't know which 2 they're going to be. In my case, 13 years into it, my first 2 years were the shittiest because I started in 2008, right before the recession.
Great timing, Chris.
Thank you.
It's funny. I feel like in the last 2 weeks, I've talked to 6 people that started their business in either 07 or 08.
Yeah, got this great idea.
Hey, hook me up with them. I think that's a club. I think we should all go out there and get a tattoo. I've never had a tattoo, but I think we need one. I'm an idiot. I think that's what I put up. Yeah, so
it's working out. It's working out.
It worked out. That's right. That's why I tell everybody I'm an overnight success. Just 13 years in the making. Get a chance to do this podcast and kick it around with you guys. All right, we're coming to the end of the podcast, and I've got 3 questions that we always ask, unless Alan wants to give any more tips.
I have no tips. I have 2 really weird questions, but maybe I shouldn't ask them.
I think you should ask, and then we'll get into them, because I love your weird questions.
Well,
I have no idea.
You want me to start with the weirdest one, or I've got Spencer. I want you to predict the future for me. So
great. It's my strength, my superpower.
Good. So Chris and I come from a generation where when we wanted to we were thinking about buying something, we just went there and talked to people, or we picked up the phone and talked to people, and we've obviously had to adapt to an environment where the customer does not want to have any communication until the last possible second.
Yeah.
So
it's weird.
They're stalkers and voyeurs. And I kind of feel like now I'm in commercial real estate, it's a little different, but Chris being in home services, you would assume you'll never get away from that personal touch. And yet I'm starting to see, like the auto industry, you can buy a new car today and have it delivered to your house, and you never set foot on the dealership floor, you never talk to a person. Is there a way that could actually hit Chris's industry as well, the construction
Yes.
industry?
Yeah. I mean, well, let's take a half leap and just go to home buying. How many homes this past 18 months that have been bought sight unseen, or a quick little FaceTime tour with the realtor, waiving contingencies, waiving all kinds of stuff. And so, and it is another leap, I feel like, to a remodel or a project in a home that you own. But making the purchase, I feel like that's possible, and maybe not the first time with that customer, but second, third, that's not too hard to think about. So I can get there. I can go, okay, I've worked with you before. Now I'm just going to go online. I'm going to say I need this, and just order it. And then you're going to schedule it with me and show up. And I know I've already worked with your company, so I trust you. And then the next leap is, oh, okay, somebody new comes to the site. I watched 10 of your videos. I feel good about you. I just schedule it online, and I'm like, I'm good with this price. Sure. So, and I think the leap there is around the type of the project. I'm seeing lots of note taking, so this must be great future predicting. But I think the leap there is in getting accurate details of the project and pricing the project out. But other than that, like, that's not that far of a stretch, I don't think.
I think if I'm Chris, that's a little scary, because suddenly it becomes kind of price driven at that point, right?
Well, so we
I don't think so.
Online, we actually have online scheduling right now in my own company with the Trusted Toolbox. And what is amazing right now is we get about 20 to 30% of our on-site estimates are set up online without ever talking to one of the ladies in the office. What I'm missing, though, is that video introduction of why this is so cool. And that's why
I knew what you were writing down.
I'm shaking. I'm shaking. I can't even stand myself right now. I'm like, damn it. I should have known better. So don't take that feedback if you're trying to compete with me in Atlanta, because I know I said that I'm not competing against you, but screw you. I'm taking you out, baby.
All right, I've got another. This is a more obscure question, and it's more related to my industry, but it just dawned on me the other day. For whatever reason, people in real estate advertise with a picture of themselves, and I can only think of one other industry where they routinely do that, and that's ambulance chasing attorneys. You see those billboards, and then they've got their face, and Bob's going to make you $1 million. Why do they do that, Spencer?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, you're the marketing guy.
I surely don't know.
Because people connect with people, and for the agents, like a lot of the agents, I think they're like, well, my logo is the same as these 100 other people with the same logo that I'm a part of their brand. So I need something to make me stand out, and that's my face. The lawyer thing is probably an ego. Yeah. The ego in the law field is probably a factor, there. But
egos? Huh. That's a shock. You know what? That's earth shattered right there. Forget video. Lawyers have egos.
There's your nugget.
I'm here for the golden nuggets, and that's the one I'll leave you with. Yeah.
Love it. All right, Spencer. Now I'm going to ask my 3 questions that we ask everybody, and I have a lot of fun with this because I love hearing about people's homes. What is the favorite feature of your house?
Favorite feature? Man, that's a toss-up, but I'll go with we have a 2-car garage with a tandem third, and that's where our home gym is. And I love that, the tandem third garage.
That's good. The gym. That means he stays in shape. Well, that beats the hell out of my man cave with my automatic beer ejector. All right.
I don't have a man cave, so otherwise that might have been the answer.
Yeah. I was going to try to do the Seinfeld reference too. You ever remember the one where Costanza eats cheese naked on his couch? Did you ever see that one?
I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
So I didn't do that. So don't put that mental image out there. Come on, Chris, get real. My God, keep this professional. Can't
You got your next video idea.
I'm actually.
Oh my God. Thank you, Spencer.
Oh, I'm on, baby. Here we go.
It's a basement blog post with a video on how to create a man cave, and there you go. Create your video,
Spencer.
Boom.
And I say thank you humbly. All right. The second one. What is a personal customer service pet peeve?
When you call in and then you have to hit 1 and then hit 4 and then hit 3 and then hit 2 and then hit 5 and then you have to type something in and you do it wrong, so it just hangs up.
That's awesome. I love that one. That reminds me of a story before I left corporate America. And one of the things we did was we screwed in call centers. We put in call centers for the big banks. And one of the things we had to do was develop the IVR and then, press 1, press 2, all this shit you just said. So they had us listen to 1 and literally it'd be press 1 for this person, press 2, press 3, press 6 if you want to hear a duck quack. And I was like, that's genius. Right. And sure enough, you hit 6, quack. But yeah, that in today's day and age, I don't think so, man. Not with these apps, not with the instant gratification that this world's in. People are not pushing 6 buttons to try to talk to somebody. No.
And half the time, your choices aren't even the reason why you called.
Exactly. Because the common ones I can find online. Right. If I'm calling, I just need somebody for like 2 seconds.
Right. Yeah, it's so tough, especially right now in this world we're in with lack of resources and help around there. But all right, third one. Give us a DIY nightmare story.
Yeah, I got one for you. Any project that I'm working on.
All right. How many trips to the big box store do you have to take to do one small thing at your house?
I will tell you. 1, and if it becomes 2, I call somebody because I'm frustrated. I'm not the DIY guy. I'm the marketing guy. I'm not the contractor guy.
I love it. And that's when I usually tell ladies at the house, so like, my husband doesn't know how to do this stuff. I'm like, we all have specialties. We all have strengths. I said, that's why.
My wife and I have an agreement. And I say, you know what? I don't know how to fix anything around here, but I do know how to call somebody to fix it. So
solid. One of my best customers, he actually has it too. He has a small toolbox. He says, I got 2 things in my toolbox, Chris. I got my hammer and my credit card. And you heard the second one.
I'm going to steal that one. I like that.
Yeah, solid. Spencer, how can people get a hold of you out there? Let's get that out there, and then we'll put it in our show notes as well, of course.
Sure. Builderfunnel.com is the website. That's the easiest way, honestly. Just head over there. You'll find a bunch of content, stuff to download, whatever you want. We have a ton of educational stuff out there.
Right. Not hard to remember. Builderfunnel.com. Go out there and take a listen. Take a look at it. If you were listening to this podcast, you got a lot of gold nuggets coming from Spencer, who definitely looks at our contracting industry a lot different than a lot of us older people, but absolutely, you've got to do it, and you got to get out there and do what he's talking about, because it will help set you apart from your competition. So, Spencer, thanks again for coming on, and everybody go out there and make it a great day and get up that ladder of success and put it on the right building, as we heard earlier.
Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Small Business Safari. Don't forget to go out and rate, review, and follow me. And if you like this episode, go out and check out my other episodes, or check out my Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn for other great content. And remember, your positive attitude will help you achieve your higher altitude in the wild world of small business ownership. Until next time, make it a great day, Adventure Team.